Welcome to Invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. It's the court time of 9:57 a.m. on the Eastern Time on February 21st on Tuesday. Hope you guys have a good Tuesday, and also hope you guys had a long 3-day weekend, by the way. Ethereum $100,676, about 1.6% so far. On the overall crypto market, as you can see on the left side of the chart, across the spectrum this morning, is relatively suppressed across the spectrum on both the equity and the crypto side of the house. And what's really driving this is multiple different macro factors. One, it seems like the interest rate is spiking a little bit again as the market opened. But also with respect to some additional catalysts with respect to the earnings coming from Home Depot, Walmart, two of the largest consumer retail companies in the U.S. Seems like both of them have missed quite disappointing results. So Home Depot missed revenue expectations for the first time since 2019. Walmart's outlooks also disappoints Wall Street after a strong holiday quarter. Obviously, it makes sense, right, because of the rising purchasing behavior during the Christmas holiday season. But as people shift onto Q1, it's definitely the kind of opposite side of the spectrum. So not surprising to see what we're seeing in front of us. But also another factor is also we have to think about is the tax season which we are in the mid of. The Ukraine war, it seems like we are still in kind of lingering on. There's some tensions around with respect to the China and the U.S. relationships. COVID situation seems like it's kind of subsiding. We don't really talk about that anymore. People don't really wear masks anymore either. But what's really going on? Do we see any black swan events that might be popping up anytime soon? The Adani Group, events. It seems like on a PR perspective, they're relatively muted. But what's really happening behind the scene, that's something we have to kind of think about. But last but not least, the FTX debacle. What is the outcome? How are we progressing? What is the latest developments? And ultimately, we will only know unless we hear from the news. So it seems like the news are not really reporting, so people typically will forget about it. So what's really going on? We don't know. So before we dive into technical, let's just take a look at the news front across the spectrum. You can see that clearly the VIX is high, up 6%, while the whole market is kind of going down. It's falling down because of, again, the macro catalyst on Home Depot and obviously with respect to Walmart as well. And looking at the whales, let's take a look at what they did like in the previous trading days. Technically, that was on last Friday. So it seems like BlackRock was taking more of a red approach, right? Relative to ARK Invest, they also took a relatively more of a red approach in comparison. So let's dive into the technical, shall we? With respect to recording time of exactly 10 a.m. on the Eastern Time, we're at 1675 at the moment, down 1.65%. Again, we are still in the consolidated mode, trading between 1650 versus 1750. On the weekly front right now, you could see that we are clearly forming this cup handle is being formed at the moment. But because of the elongation of how much that we extended, we are relatively sky high. So I think coming down to a lower level of 1550, 1450, it's just a matter of logics behind the whole technicals, right? We cannot just keep going up and up and away. It seems like we are forming this kind of upward wedge. So whenever we form this upward escalation, you will kind of have to pop eventually. And especially with this like long elongation, like really extended elongation, it makes sense to kind of normalize from there. On the monthly, you could see that we are looking to land and glide up eventually at 49 out of 70. So 1650 is an okay level to buy. It's like more of a middle spot. Not the best, not the worst. But we are definitely leaning more towards a downside than upside from here based on a technical, right? The daily, it is crossed up. The weekly is also very crossed up. So we need to kind of cross down before we cross up from here, if you get my drift. Bitcoin is also very extended. You can see that clearly we are forming this upward wedge. If I really, make this shift right here, you could see that the wedge is relatively prominent. So we are looking more and more dangerous. We're living very dangerously at the moment on the weekly. And on the daily, you could see that we are also living quite dangerously with this upward wedge being formed. Right? It seems like as we getting higher and higher, get tighter and tighter, it will eventually break down from here. So daily and weekly don't look so good to us. It's not the most bullish signal. But the monthly, it is looking not terrible, right? But what would be the next level for us to come down from? I think reaching down to, again, right, retesting 23,500 is a matter of logics, and I think this will make sense for us to retest before we go up from here. And then take a look at some of the EV stocks. Seems like across the spectrum, they're all muted because of the macro affectation, not specifically due to its own company's fundamental. It's just, the whole market is down right now because of the suppression of the rising rates. So that's something we just have to go through. But if you were to day trade, I think today is not terrible to day trade. Because we are going through this oscillation, and eventually one day you will see a green day, relative to the suppression that we're seeing, across the spectrum today. So that's our marching order. Hopefully, this is helpful to you as you're formalizing your strategy and your next steps. But let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, and I'll check you on the next one. Take care. Bye.